First of all, Yangon is a bit of a hectic, kind of chaotic, crazy place. It's very exciting, there's a lot going on, but just landing on the ground can feel a little overwhelming knowing how to get around, especially without having Myanmar language skills. That poses a bit of a challenge. So thankfully I had traveled in other Asian countries and felt somewhat familiar kind of navigating Asian cities. And so that was a good way to prepare. And I'd recommend, of course, just reading as much as you can about the country and the context before coming, which I did a lot of. But still, yeah, there are some things you just learn through experience, and that's part of the fun and the adventure. So I think some of that is related to maybe even the climate. I'm here during monsoon season, so that's a very interesting time to be here. I had survived monsoon season in India, so I knew at least I had that under my belt, but it can make for certain challenges in terms of some flooding around town. Even getting around, whether you take a taxi or walk, can be very unpredictable. So navigating that has been a bit of a challenge.
Talk a little bit more about the monsoon season. What is it? How is the monsoon expressed here? Because people, hear monsoon and they think it's just, hurricane. What's the reality of monsoon?
Yeah, definitely. Well, my first impression was that it would be rain all day, every day, just totally unbearable. And if anything, I think it's a bit more tolerable than I had anticipated, so that's good news. But it's more just the unpredictability of it. So it won't rain all day, every day, but most days from June, I've heard through October, I'm here through August, it will rain at least once or twice, I would say, and sometimes a very heavy rain, only half hour or so, and sometimes it lasts a couple hours. So it definitely is wet. I would recommend carrying an umbrella, maybe I prefer wearing sandals that have a back strap instead of flip-flops, because otherwise it flips up on your pants. So it can make for a bit of a mess getting around, but everyone just sort of handles it and everyone's in it together, so you all show up a bit wet and sweaty, but it's part of the experience.
Now, talk a little bit about transportation here. You mentioned getting a taxi. Getting a taxi when you don't speak the language, how do you manage that?
Yeah, definitely. That has been a bit of a challenge for me. It seems that the street I live on, none of the taxis seem to know, so without the language skills it's been a bit challenging, but we've learned how to say just certain words, like the word for street is lan, len, so certain things like that can go a long way, so just saying your street name followed by that, and even knowing how to say how much, or very small things you can pick up pretty easily help a lot. And also negotiating price, so that is something you can do here, and I would encourage. It's, if anything, kind of fun to go back and forth with the taxi drivers. But yeah, I mostly take a taxi around town. I know some of my colleagues are more brave and take the bus, which I'm impressed by, so either way it's quite easy to get around. But maybe one thing I would mention on that note is just the traffic is definitely something that you have to be aware of. It's quite crowded and congested, so it takes longer to get places than you might expect.
Okay, now you said about the bus. Why don't you take the bus?
Good question. Well, thankfully I live close enough to the office where I can walk, which is actually one thing I didn't realize would be such a blessing. Now I'm so grateful, because the traffic can be kind of a nightmare. So I think if you're able to find housing close to the office, that really is ideal, and that's what my colleagues recommended before coming. So that's partly why I don't take the bus. And then in the evenings I'm usually meeting up with friends around town, and it's kind of just become our default to take the taxi. Nobody has really suggested taking a bus, but I would be more than willing and open, so maybe I'll have to try it before I leave.